أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, we would commence the Halaqa with Quranic recitation. So I'm going to call upon one of our sons here, in person of Fuad, who want to give us any convenient chapter or verse of the Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
صدق الله العظيم وبلغ رسول الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين الشاكرين. We are going to continue from where we stopped last week, and that is under Akhlaq. So we are on Al-Khuluq al-Ithar wa Hubb al-Khair, the character, the morals of preference, and then wishing others well. So how do we give preference to our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters? How do we give preference to others over us? And then how do we wish others well in Islam? We've given so many examples in terms of explanation with regards to what is giving preference. Giving preference simply means that you start from others before you. We said there are categories of brotherhood in Islam. There are 3 categories. One of them is not acceptable. The other 2 are accepted. The first one is ithar, is to prefer others to yourself. Before you eat, you want others to eat. Before you drink, you want others to drink. Before you get your salary, you want others to get their salary. If you are an employer of labor, you need to pay the salary of your employees before you pay yourself. If you are in charge of people's affairs in terms of governance, before you collect your salary as a mayor or as a governor or as a councillor, you need to pay those working under you. So that at the end of the day, if there is no salary, it will affect you, not them. If you are a man in the house, the meaning of ithar simply means your family must eat before you eat. Your wife must eat before you eat. Your children must eat before you eat. If you are also the man of the house, the father of the house, your children must buy Eid clothes before you. If you have a very meager income, you need to consider them for Eid clothes before you buy for yourself. In Islam, a woman is entitled to at least, the minimum is every year, 2 clothes from the husband. 2 clothes from the husband. If she doesn't have, if she has a lot, even if her wardrobe is filled up, you still have to give her every year 2. Except if she says, I don't want. And Islam considers it as the wear during winter, the winter wears, and the wear during summer. So those are the 2 times. At least one can use the winter wear during spring and then autumn or the summer wear during autumn or during spring. You can interchange the two. So the winter wear and the summer wear, you have to buy it for her. So don't say, oh, I bought you jacket last year, so I don't have to buy it for you this year. No. So you can ask her, except she says, okay, the one you bought me last year is still okay, don't worry. She can say, okay, I want to give that as Sadaqah, I want another one. Then you have to buy it for her. So for the children too, you have to buy them winter and summer dress. So you don't have to say, I would have bought you because I couldn't afford to buy it, so I bought my own alone. No, yours should be the last. You will be the last person because you are in charge. So the meaning of that is once you are in charge of something, you will be the last to receive it. At a gathering, if you are the one serving others food, you have to serve yourself last. What we have today, what people do today is by the time they want to serve others, they serve a plate and they put it aside. If you ask them why, they say, no, that's mine. That's mine. Then they start serving others. No, it's wrong. So the khulq of ithar simply teaches that as Muslim, once you are in charge, you get the last. The reason is because if you are the one in charge, it is a great honor that you are the one in charge. So you don't combine two honors. So the only honor you have is that you are the one distributing it. So you must not be the first recipient because you are the one distributing it. Others will wait for you until you give to them before they take. So since you are the one distributing it, you will be the last recipient of the benefit. So if you are in charge of governance, you will be the last recipient of the benefit. If there is no light and we need 10 megawatts, for example, and we have 10 neighborhoods. So if you are one of them, you will put yourself at number 10, not at number 1. So when other goes around, they say, oh, there is no light in the house of our governor, our mayor, our coordinator. You say, yes, because we need 10 megawatts and then he's the last person, so he couldn't get. But they will never say, oh, the neighborhood has no light, but there is light, so that's the house of our mayor. No, that is wrong. So, khuluqul ithar. Now, looking at this character, this is the way the Sahaba relate with people. This is the way they relate with the world. And that was why when people read their history, when Europe came into contact with Islam for the first time, it was a big surprise to Europe. That what type of people are these? These are those who are selfless. They are so selfless that nothing about this world concerns them, even if the world is at their feet. When Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu became the Khalifa, and he was told that Palestine, then called Qudus, has been given to the Muslims. But those in charge are the Reverend Fathers. So they asked him to come and collect the key. At that time, Amr ibn As was the governor. He said, no, we can't give it to you. We want to give it to the emperor, the Khalifa. So Umar was invited. While Umar was coming, he came with his slave, or what we can call helper, because he was no more a slave. So by the time they started the journey, Umar told him, we have only one camel or one horse to ride this journey. So what we will do is that I will ride it for like some miles. Let me say 2 miles, 3 miles. Then I will stop. So you will also ride it for another 2 miles. Then you will stop. Because the horse cannot take 2 people at a go. So one person will be walking. The other person will sit. And the helper said, no, you are the Khalifa. I said, yes, I am the Khalifa. But this horse is for both of us. It's for this journey. So and that was what happened. But the most amazing thing is that by the time it was just 2 miles to Palestine, it was the turn of the helper to ride on the horse. He said, okay, Khalifa, you've tried for me. I have rode on the horse and it's now your own turn. I cannot ride on this horse into Palestine because you are the Khalifa. Khalifa said, it is your turn. It's not my turn. So you have to ride in. And to your surprise, it was the helper that rode on the back of the horse into Palestine. And when they got there, people thought he was the Khalifa. And that's the first surprise. I don't know if you understand. Like, if our president here wants to go to make a visit, maybe to Lucan, he then told his driver, we have to share the driving because we are traveling together. So I would drive for like 10 kilometers. You will also drive for 10 kilometers until we get to our destination. So, okay, no problem. Fair enough. So they did that. When it was the turn of the driver to sit at the back and allow the president to drive, he said, no, we'll get to that place in the next 5 kilometers. So let me drive. I said, no. This car is for both of us. I have to drive. It is your own turn to sit at the back. That's what happened. When a messenger was sent from Rome to Medina to come and meet with Khalifa Umar radiallahu anhu, at the outskirts, on getting into the city, he saw a man lying under the tree, sleeping. And by the time he passed by him, he saw that he opened up his eyes. He came back to me and said, please, where is the palace or the house of the Khalifa? And the man pointed, said, down there. So he left. On getting to the place, he asked those he met, he said, please, I'm looking for the Khalifa. They said, Khalifa, you should be under the tree there sleeping. He said, under the tree? He said, no, I mean, the emperor, the leader of Amirul Mu'minin, the leader of the Muslims, said, yes, he should be there. He came back, he saw that it was the man he met under the tree sleeping. He said, oh, you are the Khalifa? He said, yes, of course. But you didn't tell me, said, well, you didn't ask me. You only asked me for where the Khalifa stay. And I pointed out the place. He said, our leaders cannot sleep under the tree. They cannot. Because they are not just. What makes him to be able to sleep under the tree was justice. It was just. So he was not afraid of anybody. And today, we can see the difference. In all so-called Muslim countries, have you ever seen any leader sleeping under the tree? Can you see them walking alone? They have bodyguards. Why? Who are you protecting yourself from? Yes, we know there are some people that are evil. But as Muslims, you are less concerned about them. At the end of the day, Umar was killed. Yes, he was killed. But not on battlefield. Not outside, but inside the masjid. It could have happened to anybody with bodyguard. So, ithar, khulqul ithar, is giving preference to others. It has, even to those of us that are youth. If your parents are not around and you are put in charge of your younger ones, you don't serve yourself first. You serve them if you want to eat. You don't first of all eat. You ask them, what do you want to eat? You serve them, make sure they are eating or they finish their food before you start eating. Because you are in charge. So you have to get the benefit. The last to get the benefit. Today, if we are in an environment and we are the top, we are at the top, people consider us before they consider those at the floor. There is no way the Muslims will relate with themselves with this khuluq, and there won't be peace. There is no way there won't be just. There is no way there won't be trust. This is our character. We've lost it. We've thrown it into thin air. The husband is like, what can I amass before my wife? The wife is like, I can't trust him. I won't allow him to see to know my PIN number or to know whatever. If he knows he's going to collect money there. And it's true, she's not lying. If they have a joint account, the husband is thinking of a way of manipulating her. There are so many cases we've heard about husband and wife having a joint account. At the end of the day, the husband have already built house in his own country with that money, exclusively of the rights of the wife. So when she got to know, she flare up. This money belongs to both of us. She said, yes, I'm going to return your own back to you. I only borrowed it. How can you borrow money that belongs to both of you without the knowledge of the partner? It's wrong. And the next thing you will hear is the husband has already married another wife and put that wife in that new house. There are cases like that. Somebody who had a joint account with her husband and he went back to his country, he built a house and he put a wife in the country, put her there. Then he got divorced with this one. So what do you want her to do? Islam teaches khuluqul ithar. This is not theory. This is our morals, our behavior, our character. This is the way Allah wants us to relate with ourselves. And today I'm going to give you examples, 5 different examples from Sirah, how it happened during the life of the Sahaba that are revealing. So we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hashr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eulogized them, just chapter 59, by saying, وَيُثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Even if they are in need, they prefer others to themselves. Even if they are in need, they prefer others to themselves. In need of what? In need of that thing. What they give to others, they also need it. But they would say, okay, I can be more patient, so let me give it to my brother. Oh, I love him better than myself, so let him take it. And you will see that if you look at mothers, most especially, not fathers, most especially mothers. Fathers also do it, but not as mothers. Mothers, they consider their children before themselves. Do you know that? That's not peculiar to human being. To all animals. Animals consider, if you look at the mother hen will peck food and give it to the chickens. The chicks will now take it to eat. The same thing with dogs, the same thing with all other animals. They prefer the younger ones to themselves in terms of food. So that is the way Allah wants us to live among ourselves, giving preference to others above yourself. So not just considering yourself. The second level of brotherhood, if you cannot do that, number 1, number 2 is also accepted. Number 2 is to place others according to your own status. You don't give them preference above yourself, but you don't prefer yourself to them too. So what does that mean? That means you want to serve the food, you put the food on the table, you both start at the same time to eat. If it is salary, you pay at the same time for both of you. So you don't prefer them to yourself and you don't prefer yourself to them. So it is equal. You love for yourself what you love for them. That's the second level of brotherhood and the lowest. There is no more after that. The rest is not brotherhood. If you are the type that thinks, okay, I can't prefer others to myself, then you should also not prefer yourself to them. You should place it on the same pedestal and then let both of you be on the same plane. If you have a wife, you are supposed to buy her winter clothes two during a year. Okay, I have money for 2. I don't have any other money. Okay, you divide it into 2. You take 1, I will take 1. That's fair enough. So if the money is 100 euro, it's okay. You take 50, I will take 50. But the first one, if the money is 100 euro, you take 70, I will take 30. Preference. But this time around, it's 100 euro, 50-50. Take 50 euro, I will take 50 euro. So, no cheating. That's the second level of brotherhood, which, if you cannot target the first one that you are encouraged to target, then you must not fall short of the second one. And that's according to the hadith of brother says that La yu'minu ahadukum, none of you is a believer, hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi, until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. That is equal. Equality in your love for yourself and others. In another hadith, he says, Laysa al-mu'min billadhi huwa yashba. He is not a believer, one who fills his stomach. Wajaruhu fi jambihi ja'i'un, while his stomach sleep in hunger. So you see, that 50-50 does not occur. There are so many of us. I remember when we were living alone as bachelors. See, this one of us will always come back home late, and then before he came back, would have eaten. When once he's back, salam alaikum, salam, he just sleep. He's less concerned about those of you that are around. Have you eaten? Have you eaten? He won't ask. That's none of his business because he has eaten. But if we cook food, we will retain his own and say, okay, somebody is still coming, let's retain his. Although you will not eat it when he comes back. He's going to say, oh, I've eaten, I'm sorry, so you can eat. But we will always consider him, or he will never consider. So there was a day he just thought of that. He said that whenever I come back home, I always meet you people. Whenever you cook, you always remember me, but I don't remember you outside when I'm eating. I think what's going to happen now is I'm not going to eat outside again. I'll have to come back home to it, so we'll have to eat together. So as Muslims, you have to consider others just like the way you consider yourself. Not above them and not below them. The third one, which is not accepted, is for you to consider yourself before others. You consider yourself before them. You put yourself above them. How many slots? They said one. You just take it and put it in your pocket. I'm the fastest. They said it's one, so you have to wait for your own time. They said it's one. So it's none of my business. I read an interesting story about a footballer. I don't want to mention his name here. He said when the football coach came to their country to select those of them that are players, so they asked them to play the football match. He said his friend is better than him, but he has more strength. He can run than his friend, but that his friend has more skill. So his friend knows that because of his health, he may not go far. And if they play on the football pitch, he's going to be the one that will be picked because of his skill. He has a very big skill. So what he did was that he did not tell his friend on the football pitch. While they were playing, he allowed, when you have the chance of, then you gave it to your friend. Gave the ball to his friend and his friend scored the ball. So they picked that his friend. So you are very good. But he knew. So when they got home, he said, why did you do that? He said, I did that because I know you are better than me. He said, no, I'm not. He said, yes, you are not better than me in skill, but you can last longer because you have strength better than me. So if they choose me, I may not be able to last with them. In a nutshell, this his friend is still an active footballer now. He became a very top shot and very rich. Do you know what he do? He used to give part of his salary to that his friend. He enriched his friend. He said, I will never forget. So whatever I make in football, you are the one that made it, not me. And now nobody knew that was the man that made him. And nobody knew how rich that his friend is. He's as rich as he is. That's the way it's supposed to be. So when you consider others before you consider yourself, it may not be to your detriment. Yes, Islam does not say to your detriment. But let me tell you, despite that it's not to your detriment, the Sahaba, in their own case, they are less concerned about their detriment. What they are concerned is, my brother must receive the benefits. So the last one, which is preferring yourself above your brother, is not accepted. Because people who use that, they are very, very selfish. That's the beginning of selfishness. If today you have a slot, you took it. Tomorrow another slot, you took it. Another tomorrow, you've had 3. Somebody has not even had any. And you had that too. Yes, that's my skill. It's not your skill. It's not your skill. And that's what made Umar radiallahu anhu, when after the death of Abu Bakr, the booty of war came, and it was a very magnanimous loot. He said, no, I'm not going to give this to the soldiers alone. He said, no, that was the way the Prophet ﷺ divided it. He used to give it to the soldiers, not anybody. He said, no. Then it was a very small wealth. But now, I'm afraid that even after my demise, this wealth will grow and grow in strength. Would that be for you alone? What about the old man in the house who is praying that you should be victorious? What about the pregnant woman at home that because of her pregnancy or because she is a woman, she cannot go to the battlefield? What about the small boy that has not grown old to go and participate? What about the weak that wants to go, but because of the way they are created? What about the sick? And he was counting them. He said, all of them, even if they are not here, they are part and parcel of your victory. So I must distribute this thing equally. And that's what he did. That's what he did. He distributed it equally. That is Islam. So this huluk, very, very important. This is what we should nurture our children on. We don't have problem if we do that. The elder one will not cheat the younger one, because hulukul hithar. Using examples from the Sirah. Example number 1, like I said, we have 5 different examples that are very striking. One of the reasons these examples work is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَمَا تُقَدِّمُوا لِأَنفُسِكُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ تَجِدُوهُ عِندَ اللَّهِ. Whatever you do, you send forth of good deeds. Allah says you will meet it after your demise with Allah, huwa khayran, better than the way you send it. If it is food that you give to somebody, that is good deeds. The type of food you give to them is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give to you, but better than that. Because Allah says, وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. After the death, when we go to paradise, we'll be served food, and people will say, this is apple. Oh, this is pineapple. Oh, this is orange. We will surely recognize those fruits. But at a taste, just a taste of them, we say, no, this is different in taste. The taste will be different. The benefit will be excellent without any negative result. The apple we eat in this world, we know, those of us from Africa, we know that the banana we eat here is not compared to banana in Africa. Banana in Africa is natural. You can eat a bucket full of banana and you're not tired because they are natural. But here, by the time you eat 3, 4, 5, you are tired because those bananas are not natural banana. We all know that. But ours is very natural. When you eat it, you will know you're. And you'll be comfortable, you'll be okay. So that is وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. When we start eating, when we start having benefit in paradise, we will remember those ones we have in this world, but the difference is in the taste. وَأَعْظَمَ أَجْرًا, and better and then multiple than the one you send for to Allah. If it is money, you send 10 euro, you get times 10, that's 100 euro. And that is the minimum. From 100, it goes to 700 and to uncountable numbers. Because Allah used the sample of the seed of the maize or the corn. So when you put it in the soil, you know what it gives you. So that's the example Allah used. In another verse and chapter, Allah says, وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. Allah says, the believers in Surah Al-Fatir, the believers are those, that's chapter 35, the believers are those who spend out of what Allah has given to them in secrecy and in public. Why are they doing that? يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. They have hope that their spending is a sort of trade that they will never lose. They will never lose that trade. They will always gain. The profit will always come to them. لِيُوَفِّيَهُمْ أُجُورَهُمْ. Allah says, this is how Allah is going to fulfill their reward for them. وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. And Allah will increase their reward out of His bounty. إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ شَكُورٌ. Allah is oft forgiven for whatever they make mistake for. Shakurun. And Allah is appreciative of their good deeds. You see? So because of all these verses, that they always remember that if I give this thing out, I'm not losing it. It's going to come back to me 10 times greater. Why should I sit on it? Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu gave us an example in Medina. There was famine. And then trade was not okay. Food was not coming in. All the merchants in Medina, they want to use that opportunity to be richer. So they send their proposal outside Medina for food. For weeks, months, nothing come in. Nothing. Until there was an arrival of this shipload of camel food. And the announcement was, the whole of Medina was agog with the announcement of the coming of the food. And whose own? Who is your hand? It was almost close to Medina before they got to know it was Uthman ibn Affan. You know, businessmen, they all came together and said, we will not allow this man to monopolize this benefit. Because if this good comes into Medina, he can sell what we sell for 1 riyal for 10 riyal, and he's going to sell. So they said, what should we do? Said, let's call him, bargain with him, let him sell it to us, then we will sell it. They said, but if it is 1 riyal, he may say he won't sell for 2 riyal. I say, it's good. We'll buy it for 2 riyal and we'll sell it for 3 riyal. It doesn't matter. So they came and asked him, Uthman, now we want to buy your goods from you. You don't need to also. We'll buy everything. He said, for how much? He said, just name your price. How much did you buy them? We are in the business together. He said, we'll add 1 riyal to whatever. He said, somebody has offered me something greater than that. He said, somebody? Somebody came to you before us? Who is that person? He said, I'm sorry, I don't have to disclose his name, but I have something greater than that. He said, okay, we had 2. He said, I'm sorry, somebody has offered me something greater than that. I said, no, there is nobody that could buy those goods for more than what we want to buy it. So they waited and said, who is that person? So by the time the caravan arrived, he mounted, and then he was like saying, now, you people of Medina, you are witnesses to the fact that these are my caravan. I've been offered by people to sell this good for them, to add so amount to it. But I told them somebody offered me something greater than that. And what I was offered is 10 times multiple what I bought. Those businessmen said, no, it can never be. Nobody can offer you 10 times. He said, okay. You are all witnesses to the fact that these goods should be distributed free of charge to everybody. Because Allah promised me, if I do that, that I'll get 10 times of whatever I give out. And he said, it's Allah, not you people. He was a businessman. He was supposed to sell his good. In Islam, if you sell it, no problem. It's part of profit. But he did not want to use that opportunity of enriching himself unnecessarily. He gave it as sadaqah because there was famine. And everybody took from it, free of charge. But what was the case of Uthman bin Affan? Did he die as a poor person? He was the richest before he died. He never took a salary. He spent 11 years on Khilafah. He never took salary. He said, I have more than enough. I don't need a salary. So this is Ithar. This is the way the Muslims, this is the way they live their life. It is not theory, it's practical. And in the world today, we had an head of state, a president of a state, of a country, who still lives in his village. Before he became the president, the house he was living, that's where he is living. And the car he was using before he became, it was the same car he's using. In the world today, they call it the poorest president. If you go on Google, put it there, the poorest world president, you will see. He used VW Beetle. That's what he used up to now. He's not afraid of anybody. He cooks his food himself. He sleeps on that tent, and then president of the country. So he doesn't need that. And there was another man who was very rich. I think he's dead now. He was very rich. And then people see him as a poor man because he used all his money as charity. All his money, whatever he makes, charity. And they said there was nobody that gives out charity as much as he has given. And he is seen as a poor man. He said, what do I need all this for? I had a car, that's enough for me. I don't need more than that. So if these people could do that, then you cannot say that what the Sahaba did is theory. No, it's not theory, it's practical. Example number 1. This example of Ali radiallahu anhu and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Ali was just 20 years old, 23 years old. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was supposed to leave Mecca. The people of Mecca got hint of that. They were tired of him. They wanted to kill him. So they decided that all the tribes have to do that because it was a suggestion that was given to them by one of them. They said it was Shaitan that came in the light of that person. And what did they have to do? And that is Abu Marra. They call him Abu Marra. Shaitan came and he advised them that they should kill him. Each tribe should submit one person, one soldier, so that at the end of the day, all the 7 tribes will kill him. So they cannot avenge his death. And they were outside. The Prophet ﷺ told Ali, this is what they plan, but Allah has given permission to leave. But if I leave and the bed is empty, they will know somebody must live in the bed and you are going to be the one. Ali said, Alhamdulillah. He accepted. Knowing it's like signing your own death warrant yourself by acceptance. If they come in, they may not even open the duvet before they kill the person under the duvet. Or they will open the duvet out of annoyance that, oh, you allow him to go, so we'll kill you. They may kill him. He knew all that, but he accepted. What's that? Is that not preference? So that means Ali radiallahu anhu prefer himself to die than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That the Prophet of Allah will not die. And that's why the Sahabas were great men. Because the way they related with the Prophet ﷺ was quite different from the way the companions of Jesus Christ and the rest related with him. They sold him for that, but the Sahaba, they guided the Prophet that no. Another example was Udayfatul Adawi. He said, on the day of Yarmouk, it was a war that the Muslims fought, very tough one. He said, Atlubu ibn Ammi, I was looking for my cousin, and then at a point in time, I thought because he was a fighter, he would need water. So I saw him. By the time I saw him, then I told him, Askik, I want to give you water to drink. He said, Nam, I need water. As I was preparing to give him the water, Faiza Rajulun Yakul, somebody else, just some meters away, shouted, as in say, water, water, water. Then I look at my cousin. He pointed at the person and said, go and give it to him. Fajituhu faiza huwa Hisham bunu Asi. On getting there, I saw that it was Hisham, and that person that I know. I was about giving Hisham the water. Fasami abi akhar. Somebody else, some meters away from him, also say, water. Something like that. And I look at Hisham and say, go and give it to him. So I left Hisham. I went to the last person. While I was trying to give him the water, he's gone. He fell down, he died. I went back to Hisham. On getting to Hisham, he has already gone. I came back to my cousin, he has already gone. 3 of them. So this is the example of Muslims loving themselves to the point of death. And that is the way they are to themselves. Number 3 example. Ijtama inda Abil Hasan al-Antaki niyafun wa thalathuna rajulan. Some 30 plus men went to Abul Hasan al-Antaki. So they wanted to eat bread. In order, they know that this food will not be okay for all of us. So Abul Hasan suggested that they should put off the lights and eat, so that I will not be looking at you while I'm eating and you not be looking at me that, okay, you eat more than me, I eat more than you. They put off the lights. So in darkness, they were eating. By the time they finished eating, they put on the lights. And what they saw was that none of them, those 30 plus men, touched the food. None of them touched the food. So in the mind of Abul Hasan, why he put off the light is because he didn't want to participate in the food because he knows it won't be enough. So he wanted others to eat so that it will be okay for them. That's why he suggested. In the mind of others, they agree with him because they also have the same thing in mind. And they didn't talk to one another. By the time they say, okay, it's time, we finish the food, they put on the light and the food was exactly the way it was before they started. So number 1 was thinking of number 2, number 2 was thinking of number 3, number 3 was thinking of number 4, Number 29 was sitting on number 30. Number 30 was sitting on number 1. So it went round and went round and went. I won't touch this food. I know he's going to eat it. It will be okay for him. He was saying it in his mind. This one was, I won't touch it. The person on my right will eat it. The person on my left will eat it. That should be enough for me. May Allah be with me. And it goes round like that. That's a big lesson too. So that is food that cause problem. Have you seen Muslim at party? You see them fighting over food. There was this brother one day, and then went out and he was served. As he was about eating, then he noticed that we've not been served. He didn't say anything. 2 of us, and he was the only one. He just went, brought 2 spoons, put it there, making 3 spoons, and brought the food. He said, let's eat together. We said, no, we are waiting. He said, yes, if they bring yours, we'll eat together too. Let's start eating this. And the 3 of us were eating. They brought ours, and then we ate together. That's just excellent. And there was an incident that somebody was told that before others come, why don't you just say no? He said no. They will bring your own food. Don't worry, they will bring your food. They will bring your food. I'm in a hurry. I can't wait. He can't. He doesn't want. That's his stomach. So today, Muslims, because of food, they fight. Why do you fight with that brother? I said no. He's too selfish. He likes eating. What did he do? He said this is what he did. He took my food away. Because of food, we fight. The number 4 example, there was a day the Prophet ﷺ, this example is very beautiful. The Prophet ﷺ hosted a man, and he thought that if this man sleeps with me tonight, he's not going to eat because I don't have food at home. Can somebody just say Allah Akbar there? That's the Prophet. He did not have food at home overnight. Nothing to eat. I don't know if you understand that. In your own house, no food, but there is yogurt. No food, but there is apple. No food, there is banana. No food, that's not no food. In his own case, no food, nothing to put in the mouth. So what he did was, he took him to the Ansar, very close to him, and that one hosted him. The one that hosted him had only the food that would be okay for him that night. So he put the food on the table, and he said, he called his visitor, said, it's time for us to eat. So, and they start. But he said, I'm sorry, I can't eat. I have to put off the light. He said, okay, Bismillah. He put it off. And they were both stretching their hand. So he made sure his hand was touching the hand of his visitor so that he would think he's eating. At the end of the day, when they finished eating, the guy did not touch anything. It was his visitor that finished all the food. So, and he asked him, he said, because I know the food may not be enough for you, so I want it to be okay. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of what he did, revealed to the Prophet that chapter I read for you in Surah Al-Hashr, chapter 59, verse 9, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. Even if they prefer others to themselves, even if they are in need. So he is in need of that food, but he prefers his brother to himself. The last example we are going to look at tonight on this topic of Ithar, giving preference to our fellow brothers and then wishing them well, is the example of Bashar ibn al-Harith, who came to a man that was sick, and then فَشَكَ إِلَيْهِ الْحَاجَةِ فَنَزَّهَ بَشَرٌ قَمِيصَهُ الَّذِي كَانَ عَلَيْهِ. So Bashar was sick. He met a man that was sick, and then while he was with him, another person came, and that person said, please, I'm in need of money. He said, okay, you know what is going to happen? He take off his own clothes. He said, go and sell, because it was a very neat and then expensive. Go and sell it and use the money for your needs. So that man left, and he was happy. When Bashar died, there was nothing to bury him with. They had to go on borrowing to get him the clothes to cover him. It's not as if he was very rich, that's why he gave out his clothes. But because he preferred, I don't want this my brother to have this problem. And he took it upon himself. So, okay, since I have this one, Bismillah, go and take it, go and use it. For months, Islamic Appeal, Human Appeal, Islamic Relief, and many of the charity organizations we have around, you see them talking about people in in Yemen, people in Palestine, people in Syria suffering. They talk about winter. You don't understand what they are saying until you are there. If you understand, you would take out all your winter coat and winter jacket and give it to them. You wouldn't mind just to use your jumper as your winter jacket. Not to talk of you having 3, 4, 5 winter jackets and then because you don't understand what they are talking of. So you need to see the way these people are today, and you will know that we are having a hell of a problem on our table. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the courage and the iman to love our brothers above ourselves, to love them equal to ourselves, and also make it easy for us to practice the character, the adab in which the Prophet ﷺ taught us. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So the floor is open for question or comment before we close the Halaqa today. No.
What's the name of the surah? The verse was revealed that the man preferred his brother over him, and the verse was revealed. You mentioned it just there.
Surah Al-Hashr. Hashr, verse 9. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. After Surah Al-Mujadala, before Surah Al-Mumtahina, is in between Mujadala and Mumtahina. Another question? Okay, in the absence of no other question, we'll call it a day today. May Allah reward us abundantly for sitting down to listen to the word of His. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Jazakumullahu khair.